How did they get out? Have they wrecked the mattress?
Did they wreck the mattress?
And the gates open? So they're all out and the gate's open, but they seem okay. How did that happen? What's been going on, you lot? All right, well, that's a mystery.
Great. The chicken's so close.
You heard them through your bedroom window.
Yeah, I thought they were like right there at my window. I thought maybe Croker got out and went to the window, and then I tapped over here, and then boom, they were all out. Except for two.
Well, that is strange.
Yep. That's 42 chickens.
Okay. I love those birds. They're so pretty. I've been out here for a good while, drinking my coffee, just soaking in the morning sounds, watering the garden, and thinking about what needs to happen next out here. So welcome back to 9 Little Aussies. Today I'm thinking about sunflowers, okra, and emergent crops. You might not know it to look at this garden right now, but we are, and bananas. I might plant a banana tree. We are looking at the garden so this is our way of planning that's not exactly very exact. Not exactly very exact. But looking at layers, and I guess as if my garden were a little mini forest. Look at this guy. I don't want to touch him. I know direct overhead watering of my tomatoes is not ideal, but I don't have sprinkler systems or other ways of doing that at the moment, so I'm doing my best just to not do direct overhead spraying on them, like getting around the base, but they're still getting water on them. There's not much I can do about that just yet. So my strategy is I will keep watering them like this, and I will just try to keep them well pruned at the bottom so they can have good airflow and hope for the best. Just been out here watering, and I thought I would show you some new babies. Now they're very itsy bitsy right now. I hope you can see. Right here, little itty bitty baby carrots, which is really exciting because I didn't know if they were going to come up. I was using seed tape. Here they are. They're just starting to pop up through there. And I know, like, they really like a fine soil and they can be a bit finicky, but I thought, well, I'm just going to try it. with what I've got, and they're coming up. So I don't know how well they'll do, but at least some of them are shooting, so that was exciting. I'm going to plant some emergent varieties of plants in our garden. And the reason I'm doing that is, I guess it's sort of mimicking what happens in nature, and especially when you live in a hot climate like Texas. We found in Queensland, which is very, very hot during the summer, it's sort of a tropical climate. We were on the borderline of tropical, semi-arid in our zoning in Queensland. So Queensland, where we were, was very hot. In the summer, it was not uncommon for it to reach, 107, 108. And the first year we were there, we had a couple of weeks running straight where every day it was that 42 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 107, 108. And then at night it didn't cool down much. So it would get down into your mid 30s Celsius, which is, I don't know, about 95 Fahrenheit. So very, very warm. And it was definitely an issue as far as gardening through the summer because it was so hot. But what we found is my husband did a course. I guess this was first introduced to us by a very good friend of ours who lived in the Noosa area, who really is one of the people who got us into this whole gardening thing. He had a beautiful garden, our friend Luke, and he used these principles in his garden and first sort of introduced us to this whole idea of syntropic farming, syntropic agriculture, which really is just methods of permaculture expanded a little. And it's used on a big scale in some developing countries to try and make the land productive that has been very eroded and neglected and poor management and drought stricken. But it can be used on a small garden scale as well. And we found great success with it in Queensland. So that is what I'm hoping will help us to garden through the heat of the Texas summer. We're going to try it anyway and see. And what it really means is in amongst, nature is not planted in neat rows, and nature doesn't have, all of one variety planted together in a straight line. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of diversity in the planting and the way God sows things in nature. And so we try to mimic that and have diversity in the garden with different species all planted together, but also different layers in a forest. So you have your ground covers, you have your low growing, mid growing, canopy, and then emergent. So the canopy is like the roof of the forest, but then you have some emergents that kind of poke out above. So these tomatoes, which are an indeterminate variety here, they will grow up the fence, and they, in this instance, will act as a canopy layer. But if we plant in here some maybe tall sunflowers, in Australia we found okra grew really well as an emergent, and banana trees are awesome for this. So that's what we're going to use here. So before winter, my husband came home with these 2 little banana trees, and we overwintered them. Only one survived, but I'm going to pop him into the middle of this fence line in amongst the tomatoes. Just going to look for where there's a gap. And in the middle here. So in the full heat of summer, this fence line and these gardens here and the one out here in the middle, they're going to get hammered by the sun, and it's going to be really hot. So if we have, ideally I would have more than one, but I've got one, and they do multiply really quickly and kind of spread with little pups. That's what you call the baby bananas, little pups. So I'm going to plant one here, and it will grow and shoot up and provide like a canopy layer, like an emergent layer above the tomatoes, and help shade it's really just helping shade. And I guess a natural way of being able to do this without shade cloth, which we did use shade cloth in Queensland as well, and that really helped. But if we can layer the planting of our veggies, that's just an extra layer of protection. And they're all harvested at different points as well. So like the radishes that we've already got in, they're going to be ready in maybe just a few weeks. I think 6 weeks from planting till harvest. So they'll be harvested much sooner than, say, the eggplants or the tomatoes. And then we can replant things in and around. Right here, there is a tomato here, a tomato here, and there's one that is looking very, very lame and sad in the middle, which if I pull him out, because he's not doing well anyway, and I'll pop the banana in here, there's a bigger gap there than over in the other spot, so I think that's what I'll do. Try and be careful of these baby radishes. Oops. Actually, I'm going to struggle to save that little baby radish. So, oh look, he's just a wee little one. A little bit dirty on the leaves from what I just did. He can be my pre-breakfast snack. Kind of tasty. Weeds are horrible, these ones that have runners. I don't even know what they are called, but we had them in Australia as well. Okay, all right, so here's our little nana tree. Oop. I'm just gonna reach down and pull him out. And hopefully he will survive well and find a nice little spot here to call home. Little nana tree. These guys may still make it. They need thinning out anyway. Now bananas are pretty thirsty, so I'm going to water him in with some of this rain I saved from, or we saved the other day from that storm. But he will need to be kept watered. All right, the banana tree is in, and next on my list is okra. Now okra's funny to me. It is not part of the Australian cuisine at all, or diet culture. It's very uncommon to find it in Australia. It's kind of hard to find. Every now and then I would find some frozen okra, and I had never even heard of it, honestly, until I met my husband and his family. And with them being American, and from the South, they love okra. Well, my mother-in-law is from the South. They love okra, and they like fried okra and all those things. And so my father-in-law used to grow it in Australia because he couldn't find it in the shops. And when we lived in Queensland, I bought some seeds and grew okra there, partly for him, and also partly because I also discovered, although I can't say I'm like a huge fan of the flavor of it, it's okay. And I kind of like fried okra, but I discovered it has amazing health benefits. and that was enough for me. so I was like, okay, it's really good for your gut. So I'm going to grow okra, and I put it in, you know, soups and stews and stuff, and the kids can't really tell it's there, and it's got all those benefits for their tummies. So, and my father-in-law loves it. So win-win. So I have here some okra that Jess from Roots and Refuge gave me that she had saved off her plants. Let me see. So they're still, this is a dried okra pod for you Aussies who don't know what this is. I'm gonna open it up and use it. Let me see. Oh look, I didn't even know she'd given me these. I've got some of these as well. Huh. I'll have to ask her what these are. Unless any of you guys know. Aren't they cute? So they're from Jess's farm as well. Yeah, okay. So we've got a couple of okra pods, and so again, these are going to be really good as an emergent crop. They grow high, and well, I mean, I'm not an okra expert at all, but if my experience in Queensland is anything to go by, they love the heat, and they just got huge, like massive, like with big, thick trunks. And so they did a really good job as an emergent crop in kind of protecting the lower levels from the harsh sun. So that's what I'm thinking. And I am just going to sow these in little gaps that I have where I think we could benefit from having some more shade. As this, right now it's totally fine. It's not even that hot. We're only getting up to the mid 80s, but it's gonna rock on soon, I think. So we'll get these going. There they are. Can you see? I don't know if you'll be able to. Whoop, I lost some. They're going to roll out of there. All those little black babies are the seeds. I'm going to maybe roll some down into my hand. Whoopsie. There we go. Little okra baby seeds. Let's see how many we can plant where. Okay, so I got my little okra seeds, and I'm hunting for gaps. Now I saw over here, this little area, I'm a bit worried about my little fig tree, my cutting. He was green at the tip, and he's not anymore. But there's a few gaps along here. Right around here I might put a couple, because it's under this Chinese tallow, which eventually that will go. I'm hoping the fig will come on here, but when the sun comes up in this direction, and in the middle of summer it's very, very harsh, and so this area, even though the tree's here, is going to get a lot of sun. So it'll be good to have a couple of okra plants here and a couple more spotted along through there. We'll see what our germination rate's like. Ah, fire ants, darn it. I wonder if they eat the seeds. Ah. Little horrors, they're just awful. See, look. Does anyone know if fire ants eat the seeds? Like if I plant where there's a fire ant nest, do they eat the seeds? I don't know. We'll see what comes up here. The next emergent crop I'm going to plant, the last one probably today, is sunflowers. I have some mammoth sunflowers which just like shoot up really tall. The cockatoos used to love them in Queensland, and I'd get really sad because we'd wait and wait and wait, and this beautiful big sunflower would come out. We usually we would hear them just at sunrise. I'd hear this screech, run outside, and my sunflowers were gone. The cockatoos love them. And I've got this one, I haven't grown that before, Velvet Queen. And the zinnias grow quite tall too, well at least they did in Queensland. So I'm going to plant a few of those. All right, well, I put some more bush beans in as well. But the okra's in, the sunflowers are in, I planted the banana tree, and I just put some of these. I had a few left in the bottom, these bush beans, and I just noticed that someone said they plant bush beans in front of their pole beans because they harvest earlier, which I just hadn't thought of that because I have never had so much space to grow my beans. So I've always had to put my beans kind of dotted around my garden where there's little spots, because prior to this property we were on an urban lot and we just had nowhere near this much space. So that's a really cool idea. So I've gone and popped those in front of that. And yeah, we've got those in. I've watered them in, and I'll keep you posted on how they all go. But I'm really excited for them to pop up. It's kind of that I was watering in over there. Let me see where the bean garden is. I was watering that in this morning, thinking about all the seeds. Like that bed now, that little bed is just full of seeds, like bursting with seeds, bursting with all that dormant potential. So I'm so excited for them to be germinated and pop their little green heads up. I will keep you posted and let you know how that goes. One other little thing I wanted to mention, the chooks getting out this morning. I still don't know how they got out. I think maybe when my husband went to work, he leaves very, very early. It's still pitch black when he leaves, and he has to open the gate, and I think there might have been a little gap in the fence and it didn't quite close properly. But I still have no idea how that main gate got open. Anyway, it is a mystery that shall probably remain a mystery, but they're all there, and that's the main thing. All right, well, that's all for today, guys. I'm gonna move on to the next task, I think. But thanks for hanging out with us today. You can probably see my kiddos in the background. They're all playing, I don't know, I think it's some weird combination of cricket and baseball. Which I guess was inevitable, wasn't it? That was always going to happen. We're used to cricket, and here they play baseball. And the Sourwood kids were teaching them baseball, so now they're playing, I don't know, something. I think it's mainly baseball, but Zion gets confused and calls it cricket. Thank you for being here with me on another lovely day in my little garden. I will be back here again tomorrow. Sunshine and raindrops to you, my friend. Until next time.